Hey guys, it's Carly, and welcome to my first video on this channel. So today is going to be a story time video about the only interesting thing that has ever happened in my life. So let's get to it. Okay, so before I start, I just wanted to make a quick disclaimer that this video is not meant to bash anybody in any way. I was just trying to think of something interesting that would get people hooked on my channel. And this was the only thing I could think of because my life is not interesting at all. So this is the only thing I can think of. But yeah, I just wanted to say that before I get started. Okay, so first I want to give you a little background. I've been a baton twirler since I was 3 years old. My mom twirled, my aunts twirled, both my older sisters twirled. So I was kind of just born into it, and yeah, that's how this whole thing got started. When this story begins, is I used to have a coach. His name was, we're just gonna call him Bartholomew. And Bartholomew was my coach for ever. He was the main coach for the team that I was on. When I was littler, I was coached by my mom and my aunt because they were also coaches for the team. But when you get more advanced, you start going to Bartholomew. So I was on a team of a bunch of girls, and one of my closest friends was, we're gonna call her Girly. So I did pairs with Girly for 3 years, and her grandma also coached for the team with Bartholomew. But after a little while, they left. Her Girly, her mom, her grandma, and her sisters, and another girl that was on our team. They all left and they made their own baton group. So yeah, that was kind of the first thing, because she was my only close friend on the team. I mean, I guess I was kind of friends with all of them, but she was my closest. So that was kind of bad. But it wasn't that traumatic for me. So I didn't really think about it that much, and I'm still friends with her. I added her on Snapchat and stuff, and the other girls that left. So I mean, it's not that big of a deal for me. I mean, I don't really care, and she's still a good twirler, and I see her at all the competitions. So I don't really care that much anymore. And I was young when that happened, so it didn't really hit me, and I didn't really know what was going on. I just knew that they left, so I was oh, whatever. Yeah, but anyway, that's the end of that story. That one isn't really good. You haven't gotten to the dramatic part yet, but trust me, it's coming. So after those girls left, we got a new coach, I think maybe a year or two after that. And she coached us in Palms for 1 year, and then she left after that. And this girl, we're gonna call her Thing One, she got in trouble and got kicked off of our. Okay, that video just cut off because I got a flash flood warning on my phone, but it's okay. But anyway, where was I? So Thing One got in trouble and got kicked off our team, and went with the coach that got, I don't know, left or whatever. And Thing Two, this girl, we're gonna call her Thing Two, went and followed her. So yeah, there's that. And then after that, I think a few girls quit the team, and then we found out that they joined their team too. So I don't know. But after that is another story. The next story within this whole big story, as I've said before, is when I was 12, I think. The previous story, all that stuff with the people leaving and quitting and stuff, I think that was probably between when I was 10 to when I was 13. So I don't really timeline, but I know this story happened when I was, I think, 12. So when I was 12, I was on a trio with 2 other girls. We're gonna call them Peanut Butter and Jelly, and Bartholomew coached the team. And we were also on a bigger team with 3 older girls that were like 18, 19, and like 20 something, I believe. So yeah. And so the trio was to the song Despacito. It was pretty fire, not gonna lie. The older girls, we're gonna call them Huey, Dewey, and Louie. So Huey, Dewey, and Louie were the ones on the bigger team with the 3 of us, and then me and Peanut Butter and Jelly were on the trio ourselves. And so Bartholomew was pretty hard on us, but he pushed us. In the Despacito routine, we all had to do a flat toss walkover, and we were all like pretty consistent in our walkovers. We were I think I was like the first person to get it. I got it when I was like 10, I think. And they were like just getting the hang of it, but like they did it like pretty much all the practices. But then one day, one practice, Jelly was like having trouble and like chickening out of her flat toss walkover. And Bartholomew was getting like really upset with her. So after practice, Jelly's mom like went and talked to Bartholomew, and they got in like a fight, and so Jelly ended up leaving. And we were like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And like I think a week or 2 later, Peanut Butter left too. So I was like, I was on this trio and I was the only person left. So we were like, what are we gonna do? And when my mom told me that Peanut Butter left too, I literally like sobbed, because I was like, that was my team. I mean, I wasn't like super duper close with them, but like they were on my team. So what Bartholomew did was he put Huey into the routine, and he also coached another team. So one of the girls on the other team was gonna do Despacito with us, but we only got to compete at nationals because like they lived somewhere else, so they couldn't meet up with us and do our local competitions, and they weren't in the same region either, so we just only got to do it at nationals. And I don't even remember how we placed. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal. But one thing was, I was there 12, and we still did the group routine. And like I said, Huey, Dewey, and Louie were like way older than me, and I did the group routine like with them. Those 18, 19, and 20 something year olds, and I feel like I did pretty well. I mean, I don't really remember it that well. But like, I feel like that routine was like really good. But like, it's kind of funny because I was this like 12-year-old twirling with these adults, but pretty cute. So yeah, that's the drama for that story. And there's one more story, and this one is, I think, like one of the most dramatic ones. Final story. So the year after that whole thing happened, there was like nobody my age, because the 3 older girls the year after, I don't think they like did have any teams that much anymore. I was on like one team, and it was a trio with like girls that weren't my level, and we didn't really have that many twirlers. So Bartholomew was mad because he wasn't getting like that much money, because my aunt, who was running the corps, didn't have a lot of money to pay him because there weren't that many kids anymore. So eventually Bartholomew got mad and quit. So that left us with like no coach. So me and my aunt were basically the coaches for my team now, because I think Huey had quit at that point. But Dewey and Louie were doing like individual stuff with Bartholomew, and they left with him because Louis, I think, was still a coach. But yeah, so they left. So that left me and my aunt to be the coaches, and I love coaching, but like I still needed to be able to twirl, and I needed to like be able to push myself, and I didn't have anybody that was at my level on that team. So there is another team near us, and the coach, we're calling her Missy. So Missy coached another team, and that team had been competing against us for like my whole life. So my aunt called Missy, and this was in like December or like January, and competitions start. Okay, hold on, let me pause the story for a second. So practices usually start around September or October to get our routines ready for the competition season, which usually starts in February. So Bartholomew quit in like December, and I joined the team with Missy in like January. So my aunt called Missy and asked if I could join the team because I didn't have any peers, and all the girls on that team were like my age, so it would have been like a perfect fit. And she like let me in, and it was really so perfect timing because another girl that was on their team quit like 2 hours before my aunt called Missy. So it worked out like perfectly because I could just fit right into her spot because I was like the same age and like level as her, I think. I don't know. So yeah, I joined their team, and that was probably one of like the best things that has ever happened to me because now I met one of my bestest friends on that team. Well, two of my bestest friends, and I'm like really close with all the girls now because they're all like my age, and it was just like perfect. But then Bartholomew was also my individual coach for all my other routines that I did by myself. So I needed an individual coach. So that year I had so many coaches. One of my favorite coaches, and he coaches all my individual stuff now, except for compulsories, which Missy does because Missy is really good at compulsories. But I had my sister, Lainey would probably be fine with me saying her name. So I had my sister coaching my solo, Lainey Puhala coaching my strut and two baton, and Missy doing my compulsories, and my coach, we're gonna call him JJ because I don't know if he would be okay with his name being shared. I feel like Missy would probably be fine with her name being shared, but I really don't know, so that's why I'm using these names. So JJ coached my dance twirl and my freestyle. So I had all these coaches, and they were all like super great to me, and it was like the best. And that was kind of a really experimental year and an adjustment period. So I feel like I grew a lot that year because the year prior, I think I got last in compulsories at nationals, and I ended up second to last after my freestyle score was put in there. And at nationals that year, because I had been coached in my compulsories by Missy, I got first in compulsories, and then I ended up 8th after my freestyle out of like, I think like 20 something kids. So that was like a big accomplishment for me, and it just made me like so happy, you know? And so now this year is the year after that. Actually, we didn't even have any competitions this year because of Corona, so we're preparing for this coming season, and we don't even know what's going to happen because schools are closed until February, and February is usually when our competition starts. So we're kind of focusing on growing my skills right now with Missy and JJ. Those are my coaches now that I'm having. because it was just kind of hard to like meet up with all the coaches, and like my sister is like busy sometimes too, and we just felt that JJ was a great fit, and I love Missy, and she's so good with compulsories, and it's helpful with critiques and stuff, and she teaches me a bunch of cool things, so yeah, I really like that. And I have grown so much since I came to Missy, because after that we realized that we think Bartholomew is kind of holding me back, and Missy pushes me so much, and I have grown so much. And this year I was actually supposed to go to trials and compete for a spot on the world team, but it got canceled. But I think they're probably still gonna do it in March of this year too, so I'm really excited for that. And you have to get in the top 4. Supposed to go and audition.